Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Alfonso Speaks, and welcome to something brand new. I told you we were going to get into politics, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So, a little bit of background about me and what I'm hoping is the direction of this series. Number one, I'm an independent voter. I'm not a left winger, I'm not a right winger, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican. Some of my ideals lean left, some of them lean right. As a black man, most of my ideals are going to naturally lead left. But I'm always open to other dialogue from other sides. I mean, sometimes policies that are created make sense from both sides. It's okay to acknowledge that. So, what we're doing here on this channel is we're creating a safe space for everybody to come through. Everybody. I want everybody's input on what we're seeing transpire. Now, we've seen a lot transpire that unfortunately I wasn't back on YouTube to cover. Former President Donald Trump almost had his life taken by a bullet at a rally, assassination attempt there. And yes, I do believe it was an assassination attempt. We've also seen President Joe Biden drop out of the race after a lot of concerns about his cognitive decline. And we've seen Vice President Kamala Harris rise to the top of the Democratic ticket. We also saw a wild Republican National Convention, which, man, these conventions are something else. Once the Democratic one happens, I'll be sure to cover that. But that Republican National Convention was something. I'll tell you that much. It was something. But again, all we're here to do is react to what's in front of us. We are not here to place judgment on each other. We are not here to argue with each other, yell at each other, scream at each other. We're here to do what everybody in this nation should be doing right now, which is to try to find a common ground so that we can all coexist peacefully in this nation. Because that's apparently what the foundation of this nation is supposed to be. There's a lot of arguments against that. But that's what we're being told is the foundation of this great nation. And in order to have that be a reality, we're going to have to start talking to each other and being open to hearing from both sides and being open to actually hearing the truth, even when we don't want to hear it. So the first thing we're going to react to here today is because it just happened today. Kamala Harris has finally picked her running mate for November. And it is Governor Tim Walz from Minnesota. Now, I was looking at some of Tim Walz's accomplishments, and I was actually very impressed with what he brought to the table. I mean, he got things like paid parental leave, 12 weeks. He got $2.2 billion in funding for K through 12 in Minnesota. Universal background checks on guns. You know, we have concerns about our gun laws here in this country. He did a lot of really, really good things in Minnesota. And I got to say, this was a smart pick by Kamala Harris because it seems that a lot of what he brings to the table addresses a lot of the things that people have concerns about when it comes to her. But let's see what they have to say here. Again, this is a rally. It's in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. One of the key swing states of Pennsylvania. So of course it's smart to host the rally here. And what we're gonna do is really try to look past all the, a lot of these rallies are a lot of theatrics. They're very theatrical. What we're gonna try to do is look past that because I really want to hear what they have to say. So I'm not paying attention really to the energy that the crowd is giving them. I don't care about any of that. Like that's what rallies are supposed to do. They're supposed to spark energy and, give, make you feel good about your candidate and stuff like that. I don't care about that. I want to hear about the policies. I want to hear about what you guys are building this campaign on. So without further ado, if you haven't done so already, like, share, subscribe to the channel. And we're going to have a lot more of this stuff going forward. And again, do not attack me for anything. If you want to have, open dialogue about something maybe I say that you disagree with, I'm fully willing to hear it. Willing to hear it. You can always have a safe space to express yourself to me. And I mean that for everybody. Trump supporters, Biden supporters, Harris supporters, people who like JD Vance, people who think JD Vance is weird. You're all welcome here. All right, let's get into it.
Philadelphia.
Oh, wait. Almost forgot again. I always forget this. I have to put the audio into my headphones. Sorry, guys. Well, this is just amateur hour for me, huh? Just amateur hour. Okay. We are officially ready. Let's do it.
And that's President and Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
Alright, so I'm going to mute this part because I don't want to get copywritten because they're playing Beyonce's music. So I'm going to wait until they start talking. But yeah, Governor Tim Walz and Vice President Kamala Harris. This is who he is. This is who she has chosen. Rather, I'm sorry. This is who Kamala Harris has chosen to be her running mate. And like I said, he has a pretty decent list of accomplishments. Now, I don't know about the other side, right, of, you know, maybe people in Minnesota who aren't very pleased with what he brought to the table. I don't know. You know, there could be a lot of people who are displeased with his work in the state, but from what I saw, I liked what he did in Minnesota. I felt like he had his priorities in order. Now, that is a lot of people, I will admit. That's a lot of people. See if this music is turned off yet. It is not. It is not turned off yet. Look, we're not getting copywritten here on Alfonso Speaks. We got to pay these bills, baby. All right. There we go. Now, okay, so I know I said I wasn't going to really focus in on it too much, but there's only one talking point that I want to have about the crowds at these rallies that Kamala Harris has been putting on. You can tell that there's a different sense in the energy behind this campaign as opposed to the one behind Joe Biden. You know, obviously, like I said at the beginning of this video, there's a lot of people concerned about the cognitive decline of Joe Biden. He couldn't seem to get through a speech, couldn't seem to finish a thought. His debate was one of the worst in presidential history. Like, these are all things that are just facts. And, you know, I think, what was it, over 2/3 of the Democratic Party came forward in public, you know, calling for Joe Biden to step down. He ultimately did recently, and Kamala took his place as the front runner of the Democratic Party. And yeah, I've been watching a lot of political content lately, and if you look at the polls, Trump's lead has been declining significantly since Kamala was announced as the Democratic nominee. Now, that's not a guarantee of what's going to happen on election day, right? Like, people still have to get out there and vote for who they want to vote for. But polling is usually a pretty good indicator of, you know, what the feel of the nation is. You know, you have those different polls like the president's favorability or approval or whatever the case may be. Things have been looking very, very positive for Kamala, and for Trump's side, unfortunately for him, things look like they have been in the decline. So who knows what's going to end up happening in November, but it looks like we're actually in a very tight neck and neck race now, whereas before, Joe Biden didn't look like he stood a chance at all. People were uninspired. They didn't want to come out. They didn't want to vote. Now that Kamala's taken the reins, we see what we see here.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Oh, it is good to be back in Pennsylvania.
Very smart strategic move here. I mentioned that Pennsylvania is one of the key swing states in this election. And if anybody's not familiar with what a swing state is, it's basically the ones that can go either way, and that'll determine the election because they have enough electoral votes. Now, you have your states like your Floridas, Texas, California, Maryland, where I am, which always go the way that they tend to go. Like Maryland's a Democratic state, Florida's Republican, Texas is Republican, and the Democrats haven't lost California and God knows when. So, you have those states like that, but then you have your Arizonas, then you have your Minnesotas, your Michigans, Pennsylvanias, North Carolina. Those states like that, you never really know where they're going to go. Georgia is a big one as well. You never know what's going to happen with those states, and those states could end up determining the election. So a lot of the rallies and campaigning that you will see going on between now and November is going to happen in those key swing states because those are the states that they need to win over in order to win the election.
So let me say, on behalf of myself and the first, second gentleman of the United States, my husband, Doug Emhoff, thank you for the warm welcome. And let me just say, it's good to be here with all of the friends, all of the leaders who are here. I want to thank former Governor Ed Rendell, Senator Bob Casey, who we will re-elect this November, Senator John Fetterman, Mayor Sherelle Parker, and Chairman Jamie Harrison. And it is so good to be here with your incredible Governor, Josh Shapiro.
Josh Shapiro was one of the front runners, I believe. I believe it was between him and Tim Walz as the last two finalists for who was going to be elected vice president for this campaign. I think it did come down to those two. So she ultimately ended up going with Tim Walz. So we'll see if she ended up making the right decision or not.
And I will say, Josh is a dear, dear friend and an extraordinary leader. He and I have been spending a lot of time together over the years. And I told Josh, look, I am so invested in our friendship in doing this together because together with Josh Shapiro, we will win Pennsylvania. We will win Pennsylvania. And I thank you, Josh. I thank you. So Philadelphia, I launched my campaign for the President of the United States a mere 2 weeks ago. And it's been a bit of a whirlwind. And just last night, the delegates to the Democratic National Convention finished voting. And so I stand before you today to proudly announce I am now officially the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. So now we got some work to do. We need to move to the general election and win that. And to all the friends, listen, we also need to level set. We are the underdogs in this race. But we have the momentum, and I know exactly what we are up against. Now, many of you know, before I was elected vice president or elected a United States senator, I was an elected attorney general, and before that, elected district attorney.
Okay. So I already know what she's about to say here. She said this like at every single rally. You know, it's going to end with, I know Donald Trump's type. We're going to let her say it. You know, I'm watching this for the first time. Like this is the first time I'm seeing this, but I know what she's going to say because I've seen a few of her rallies now at this point. But apparently this is something that politicians do all the time because you need a powerful line that, you know, you can say, you can get it right, and you know what type of reaction it's going to get every time. So whatever, I'll forgive it. You know, it is what it is. Every politician does it. But let's let her say it. If you haven't heard it before, this is her big tagline that she will say every single rally right here.
And before that, I was a courtroom prosecutor. So in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women. Fraudsters who scammed consumers. Cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say,
I know Donald Trump's type. I'm telling you, she's about to say it. The crowd knows she's about to say it too. That's why it works. It works. It just works every single time.
I know Donald Trump's type. So, but let me say, hold on. This campaign, our campaign, is not just a fight against Donald Trump. Our campaign, this campaign, is a fight for the future. It's a fight for the future. In Pennsylvania, we fight for a future with affordable housing, affordable health care, affordable child care, paid leave. We fight for a future where we build a broad-based economy, where every American has the opportunity to own a home, to start a business, and to build wealth. We fight for a future where we bring down prices that are still too high and lower the cost of living for America's families. So that
Now these, again, we're listening for what they're looking to build their campaign on, which is perfectly fine. I think I really would like to see the debate between Vice President Harris and former President Donald Trump, because I want to hear how they're going to institute these policies that they're talking about. Because everything that both of these candidates say, oh, it sounds all good. Like, oh, we're going to repair the economy, the stock market. How? How does that work? How are you going to do it? We need to know a first 100-day plan, you know. Because that's really going to help a lot of voters determine who they're going to vote for. Like, we need to know how you're going to accomplish these things that you're saying you're going to accomplish. Like, you don't just blow smoke, you know, like, let us know.
That they have a chance not just to get by, but to get ahead. We fight for a future where we defend our most fundamental freedoms. The freedom to vote. The freedom to be safe from gun violence. The freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. And the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body, not having her government tell her what to do. So, I love you too. So here's the thing. Since the day that I announced my candidacy, I set out to find a partner who can help build this brighter future. A leader who will help unite our nation and move us forward. A fighter for the middle class. A patriot who believes, as I do, in the extraordinary promise of America. A promise of freedom, opportunity, and justice, not just for some, but for all. So, Pennsylvania, I'm here today because I found such a leader. Governor Tim Walz of the great state of Minnesota.
Lining the brass.
Okay, so that was the opening speech. I'm curious what you guys think of Vice President Harris, her campaign, her selection for her running mate. I'm very curious about what you guys think about that. I want to know, what are your feelings about how the process of selecting Kamala went? I'm very interested. And we also have Governor Tim Walz, who made a speech. So we're going to take a look at his as well. Because why not? So let's take a look at what he had to say.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you, Philadelphia. Thank you, Madam Vice President, for the trust you put in me, but maybe more so, thank you for bringing back the joy. I'm thrilled to be on this journey with you and Doug, this incredible journey. And Pennsylvania, I know you know this, but my God, what a treasure you have in Josh Shapiro. Holy hell, can this guy bring the fire? He can bring the fire. This is a visionary leader. Also, I have to tell you, everybody in America knows When you need a bridge fixed, call that guy.
All right, so I'll be honest with you guys. I'll be honest with you. Just off of hearing this man for about 60 seconds, I will say I already like him more than JD Vance. But I still want to hear the policies, right? And, you know, I went over a little bit of his track record, things he's been able to accomplish. I'm very impressed by what he's been able to accomplish. I want to hear, again, you know, like the debates are so important because I want a little bit of insight on how exactly you plan to institute anything that you've claimed that you're going to institute, you know. Let's hear the rest of what he has to say.
And I think sometimes we forget and you see people a little one-dimensional, but seeing a guy who cares so deeply about his family, a man with compassion, vision, and I'll have to tell you this, I know this from experience, there is no one you would rather go to a Springsteen concert in Jersey with than him. Than that guy. Roots. And I can't wait for all of you and America to get to know my incredible wife, Gwen, a 29-year public school educator.
That would make sense as to why K through 12 was such a huge priority for him. Again, $2.2 billion in funding to K through 12. Now, I don't know where all that funding went. I don't know if it went into the teachers' pockets or whatever, but that's still a lot of funding to put into your public school system. So, good on him.
Don't ever underestimate teachers. And our two beautiful kids, Hope and Gus. I couldn't be prouder to be on this ticket and to help Vice President Harris become what we all know is very, very good for us to think about. Next President of the United States of America. From her first day as a prosecutor, as a district attorney, Attorney General of the great state of California, a United States Senator, and Vice President of the United States. Vice President Harris has fought on the side of the American people. She took on the predators, she took on the fraudsters, she took down the transnational gangs, she stood up against powerful corporate interests, and she never hesitated to reach across the aisle if it meant improving people's lives. And I want all of you to hold this and don't ever underestimate the power of this. She does it all with a sense of joy. I know a little something about that commitment to people. I was born in West Point, Nebraska. I lived in Butte, a small town of 400, where community was a way of life. Growing up, I spent the summers working on the family farm. My mom and dad taught us, show generosity towards your neighbors and work for a common good. My dad served in the Army during the Korean War. And with his encouragement, at 17, I joined the Army National Guard. For 24 years, I proudly wore the uniform of this nation. The National Guard gave me purpose. It gave me the strength of a shared commitment to something greater than ourselves. And just as it did for my dad and millions of others, the GI Bill gave me a shot at a college education. My dad was a teacher. My brothers and sisters and I followed in their footsteps. 3 out of 4 of us married teachers. What we do. For nearly 20 years, I had the privilege of teaching high school social studies and coaching football. Including winning that state championship. So thank you. Don't ever close the yearbook. Don't ever. But it was my students. They encouraged me to run for office. They saw in me what I was hoping to instill in them, a commitment of common good, a belief that one person can make a difference. So in 2006, I took a leap and I ran for Congress. And because high school teachers are super optimistic, I was running in a district that had 1 Democrat since 1892. Well, my neighbors graced me with an opportunity to represent them in the United States House of Representatives. I'm proud of the work we did there together. I worked across the aisle on veterans issues, on agriculture, and on ways to grow rural economies. I learned the art of compromise without compromising my values. And now, as governor of the great state of Minnesota, I bring those experiences to bear in tackling the challenges that are facing our great state. Minnesota's strength comes from our values, our commitment to working together, to seeing past our differences, to always being willing to lend a helping hand. Those are the same values I learned on the family farm and tried to instill in my students. I took it to Congress and to the state capitol, and now Vice President Harris and I are running to take those very values to the White House.
Okay, so he's already singing a different tune than J.D. Vance sings. J.D. Vance, a lot of the things that J.D. Vance says, there's just facts. They are very divisive. They're very, he talks a lot about family and how if you don't have a family, you shouldn't really have a say in the future of this nation because you don't have a physical commitment to it. It's just weird, man. Like, some people can't have kids. Some people haven't met the right person. Like, they don't deserve a vote. That's just weird. You got 18-year-olds in the military, kids putting their bodies and lives on the line for this country. They don't deserve a say because they don't have a family. It's just a weird thing to say. And as a politician, you have to be very careful about the things that you say. You can't just say anything and have it be, he didn't really mean it. It doesn't really matter. It does matter. Because a lot of these things that you say are the things that we're going to assume are going to shape the way that you form policies and, write law. So it's very important that, make sure you get these types of speeches right. And so far, J.D. Vance has not been doing a very good job. He's been hurting Trump's campaign more than he's been helping it. And it looks like Vice President Harris made a excellent selection here because this guy can talk, and he's selling himself very well right now.
Now, Donald Trump sees the world a little differently than us. First of all, he doesn't know the first thing about service. He doesn't have time for it because he's too busy serving himself. Again and again and again, Trump weakens our economy to strengthen his own hand. He mocks our laws. He sows chaos and division. And that's to say nothing of his record as president. He froze in the face of the COVID crisis. He drove our economy into the ground. And make no mistake, violent crime was up under Donald Trump.
These are things that, you hear at rallies and cool, it's all good. I'd like somebody to show me the numbers so I can judge for myself on, whether crime was up or not and how well the economy was doing under Trump opposed to Biden. I mean, I know a lot of people who were able to really thrive in Trump's economy that are really struggling in Biden's. So, again, this is one of those things, like at the rallies, I know what they're doing, but I need some facts, man. I need some bullet points or something, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, like, it sounds good, but is it true? Because politicians lie all the time, so who knows?
That's not even counting the crimes he committed. You know, some of us in here are old enough to remember. I see you down there. I see those old white guys. Some of us are old enough to remember when it was Republicans who were talking about freedom. It turns out now what they meant was the government should be free to invade your doctor's office. In Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and their personal choices that they make. Even if we wouldn't make the same choice for ourselves, there's a golden rule. Mind your own damn business.
Hey, yo, real talk. I would vote for this man just off of that line right there. If y'all have been following me long enough on this channel, you know that is my go-to slogan. Mind your business. What you worried about somebody else for? Mind your business. Like, I get it. Everybody has their own ideologies of what's supposed to be happening and what's not supposed to be happening. Mind your business, bro. Mind your business. If it doesn't directly affect you, mind your business. Period.
These guys are after my heart chanting, mind your own damn business. That feels good, so thank you. Look, that includes IVF, and this gets personal for me and my family. When my wife and I decided to have children, we spent years going through infertility treatments. And I remember praying every night for a call for good news. The pit in my stomach when the phone rang, and the agony when we heard that the treatments hadn't worked. So it wasn't by chance that when we welcomed our daughter into the world, we named her Hope. When Vice President and I talk about freedom, we mean the freedom to make your own healthcare decisions. And for our children to be free to go to school without worrying they'll be shot dead in their classrooms. By the way, as you heard, I was one of the best shots in Congress, but in Minnesota, we believe in the Second Amendment, but we also believe in common sense gun violence laws. Vice President Harris' idea of freedom is a ticket for education to be that ticket to the middle class, not crippling debt. Air that's clean, water that's pure, communities that are safe. A place where we settle our political differences not through violence, but with our votes. And that's what this election's about. What direction will this country go in? He's not going back. Well, Donald Trump would damn sure take us backwards. Let's be clear about that. And don't believe him when he plays dumb. He knows exactly what Project 2025 will do to restrict our freedoms. To rig the economy to help the super rich. If Trump gets a chance to return, he's going to pick up exactly where he left off 4 years ago. Only this time, it will be much, much worse. Raising costs on middle-class family. He will repeal the Affordable Care Act, no doubt about it. He'll gut Social Security and Medicare. And when somebody tells you they believe him. He said he'd ban abortion across this country, and he'll do it, whether or not Congress is there or not. Donald Trump's not fighting for you or your family. He never sat at that kitchen table like the one I grew up at, wondering how we were going to pay the bills. He sat at his country club up in Mar-a-Lago, wondering how he can cut taxes for his rich friends. And I got to tell you, his running mate shares his dangerous and backward agenda for this country.
Okay, this is the part I want to hear. He's about to go straight at J.D. Vance. So let's see what he has to say about former President Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance literally wrote the foreword for the architect of the Project 2025 agenda. Like all regular people I grew up with in the heartland, J.D. studied at Yale, had his career funded by Silicon Valley billionaires, and then wrote a bestseller trashing that community. Come on! That's not what middle America is. And I got to tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy. That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there? Look.
All right, so listen. This doesn't have to sway you or anything. Look, again, I'm not reacting to any of this to steer anybody's vote in any direction. You guys vote for who you want to vote for, whoever meets your ideals. But I think it's important that we see and watch everything. And we understand that for independent voters like me, this speech right here could literally take our vote one way or another. And it's important to know what's going on. There's a lot of people out here who don't know who they're going to vote for yet. And Governor Tim Walz is making one heck of a first impression. Like, this is incredible. Like, this is, like Harris or not, this speech that he's making right now, he's delivering. He's delivering. This is how you make a premiere appearance right here. This is good.
I got to tell you, pointing out just an observation of mine that I made. I just have to say it. You know it. You feel it. These guys are creepy, and yes, just weird as hell. That's what you see. That's what you see. So you know what's out there, so say it with me. We aren't going back. We aren't going back. We are not going back. So we got 91 days. My God, that's easy. We'll sleep when we're dead. Over those next 91 days and every day in the White House, I'll have Vice President Harris's back. Every single day. And we'll have yours. You know how this works. We can't do it alone. We need you, each and every one of you. Go over to KamalaHarris.com, get on board, because we need you. Freedom to make our own choices. This leader, this compassionate, careful, joyous leader believes in each and every one of you. My God, you came here tonight to sit at the very top because you love this country and you're not going back. She believes in the opportunity for every single person to join the middle class. She believes in the promise of America. We just got to fight. We just got to fight. Because as soon-to-be President Harris says, when we fight, we win. Thank you, Philadelphia. Thank you, Vice President. God bless America.
Okay, so that was the debut of the new Democratic ticket. It is now complete. The mega powers, they've arrived. Let me know what you guys thought about that. Like I said, I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. I'm not here to tell you who I'm going to vote for. We're just here to watch everything. I'm an independent voter. Okay. But I gotta admit, that was a very, very strong debut from Tim Walz. I really want to see these debates, guys. I'm sure you guys do too. I'm really excited for those debates, the presidential debate and the vice presidential debate. I gotta say, I don't know how the presidential debate will go. You know, Trump is Trump. He's a really good public speaker. But that vice presidential debate, I'm not thinking J.D. Vance has much of a chance, man. If you guys have seen his speeches, his rallies, he is not good. He doesn't look like he's made for this kind of spotlight. But that doesn't mean he can't do the job. It just means he ain't the best public speaker. He's not great at thinking on his toes and being charming and witty. So I don't know. Really big election coming up though, and we're going to be following it all the way until it's complete. So until then, like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.